There we go. All right. We're going to be using colored pencils today. We're going to start with brown because we're going to start with our boat. We're just going to figure out where our boat's going to be. So we want our boat to be down towards the bottom half of the page, right? So we have plenty of room for the mast and all this stuff up top. So we want to make sure that we start right down here. We're going to start with 2 lines. A long one right here. I don't know how long that is. It's about half the length of the pencil there. And then underneath it, just a slightly shorter one. Alright? Maybe just a little bit shorter. And then on this side, my boat's going to be facing to the right here. It's going to be sailing this direction. So on the right here, I'm going to put the bow of the boat. It's going to be a little pointy shape there. And on the back of the boat, I'm going to give it a little curve. Just for fun, just to keep it interesting. Alright, so we got that simple shape. Now we need somewhere for our captain to sleep, the captain's quarters. Right, so we're going to just draw a little square back here. This is where perhaps our captain is eating their fancy meals and doing whatever it is that captains do in there. Now the captain needs some way to get down to the deck of the boat, so we're going to add a little staircase in here, but instead of just having a straight line, we could just have a straight line, but I'm going to make mine a little fancy, so it's going to curve. It's going to go down, curve just like that. Alright. Still sticking with simple shapes. Just building on them, putting them together. In the middle here, we're going to have the mast. That's going to be a long line. And you can try to draw it straight. As you can see, straight is sometimes a challenge, but I like to start at the top and use gravity. Use gravity to let my arm kind of just like sail down here. So we've got that. And then we've got, I believe it's called the boom. I'm not sure what it's called on big ships, if it's the same thing. Or if big ships even have sails. I don't know. Anyway, so we've got this line coming out here. We're going to have another mast towards the front, so about halfway between this line and this bow of the boat, the front of the boat, I'm going to have another mast. This one's going to be a little bit shorter. Alright, so we're going to do a line just like this. A little bit shorter than this main mast here. Thicken that up a little bit to cover up my wobbly lines. Alright. So we got our basic boat shape here. And you can make yours as interesting or as simple as you like, but this is how we're going to start here. I'm also going to make some portals, so when everybody's below deck, they can still see out. Right, they still have this nice view of the open water. I'm going to make portals. They're going to be just 4 little circles. You can have more or less, depending on the size of your vessel. Now to connect the sail, right here, I'm going to draw the sail. Actually, first, let's do this. Right off the bow of the boat, we're going to have this piece. I don't know if we have any sailors in here. Maybe somebody knows what this is called, this piece at the bow that comes off here. Alright, so we're going to connect this to here with just one line. Just one line. A thin one. And this one we're going to connect to here, but we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to use a curved line instead. So it's going to just have a little curve. Right? And if you left your room at the top here, you can give yourself a little flag too. Give myself a little wavy flag. Just 2 curved lines, right? Just 1 curve, 2 curve, and then you connect them right in the middle. Right on the edge there. Alright, before we go too far with other stuff, I'm going to just finish up a couple more details on the boat. So our boat here is made out of wood because it's an old school boat. And I want to just kind of put some lines in here to show the wood paneling, right? So I'll just try to do some horizontal lines across. And you know what? With these lines, I like to not make them connect all the time. I like to leave little areas where you can't really see the line. One of the best pieces of advice one of my art teachers ever gave me was, if you can't see it, don't draw it, right? Sometimes we get so caught up with trying to create what we see in our imagination that we don't look at what's in front of us. So, adding in this wood panel in here, I'm just, see, scratching some horizontal lines in. And maybe a little railing up here for our captain so he doesn't fall off his spot here where he's driving, right? So there's a little railing. I'm going to do a couple lines, just lines. Horizontal line, a couple vertical lines that attach it to the top of that box. Hey, thanks, Dylan. Good to see you here, buddy. Alright, so we've got the boat. Now we're going to start maybe sketching in some water here. I'm going to grab my dark blue pencil. This is one of those Crayola pencils here. Oh, losing my camera here. There we go. I'm grab a dark blue pencil and we're going to start drawing in where the water is going to be. I'm going to keep my water a little bit low this time. So I'm going to go about halfway down on my boat here. And I'm going to come off here on the side like this. Straight line, straight off the side. One line, just like that. Going behind the boat. Alright. And just to keep mapping things out, we'll figure out where our land is going to be, because we might have background. Right? Maybe this ship is sailing through a bay or something like that, or a little sunshine sailboat. So my land, since we're in Florida, and I'm going to keep a little Floridian here. I'm going to make pretty flat land here. Don't have a lot of mountains in this one today. Just scratching right across here, up and down, making a little bumpy. You want to keep it going in the same direction, keep it in line with that horizontal blue line that we made earlier. But we want this to be a little bumpy, right? Because we got bushes and mangroves and all kinds of things happening in the background. Alright. So, what else? What else do we got? Let's figure out where the clouds are going to go, because we got some clouds in the sky too. Not too many, because it's a bright sunshiny day for a sunshine sailboat. There are a couple different ways to do clouds. Everybody's got their own techniques. I find the simplest way to make kind of cool, simple clouds is to have kind of a straight line underneath, right? Kind of a straightish line. By the way, I'm using the light blue. We're switching to light blue now. Straight line underneath. And then on top, I like to make it bumpy, just like we did with the trees down here. I like to make it a little bit bumpy like that. Keep losing my camera, guys. I don't want to lose it. So, almost like a table with a bunch of cotton balls on top, right? Got little round, bumpy shapes go across, and it kind of tapers off on the end. There. Now, I'll make a couple of them, but remember that this is our sail, and we don't want to draw over our sail, so maybe we have a cloud that comes over here. Now, this isn't a sail right here. This is just a line. So maybe we have a cloud that comes out here, but you can't see it because the other part disappears behind that sail. So again, we have a straight line, little bumpy cotton balls on the table here, and then it tapers off towards the end. Do a couple more of those small ones here. Straight line, bumpy top. Maybe another one right down this way. Straight line, bumpy top. Tapered off towards the end, right? Tiny one. Oh, I know what's happening. I'm losing my easel. there we go. Real simple shapes. We got our framework for how this thing's going to be laid out, and now we're going to do some filling in of the objects here. So let's see, we'll start, since we began down here, we'll go back and we'll start coloring in the water. So I would like to take, what are we going to do? We're going to use this dark blue. It's dark blue here. So keeping with the horizontal pencil, I don't know what you call those, pencil action, pencil motion, pencil strokes, pencil whatever. I'm just lightly shading in some lines here. Just lightly shading them in. See, I'm just holding my pencil kind of loose and just making little marks, little marks, little marks. I'm going to keep them a little bit fewer up top here, but down here it's going to be a little bit darker. We want a little bit darker in the foreground. So real light up top. Real light up top. And then as it gets down here, we're going to get a little bit heavier, right? A little bit more pressure. You don't want to put so much pressure that's varnishing the pencil. It has a cool effect, but it takes a lot longer. And I'm sure we don't have time for that today, but we'll keep with this dark blue a little bit. So we got a nice little dark blue base going on. Now I'm going to switch to some light blue again. Because our sky is going to be light blue, I want to have some of that light blue reflected down into the water, right? But we're going to use it again. I said that the foreground, that's this part closest to us, is going to be dark. So the background is going to be, I think where I'm going to put a little bit of that light blue. Again, just horizontal pencil marks, whatever you want to call them. And a little fewer as they get down towards the bottom. Just a little bit of light blue. Fun times. Maybe a little bit down here, but not too much. We got a different plan for down here. In fact, what we're going to do, we're going to get purple. Who doesn't love a good purple? So I'm going to get this purple, or violet as it's named on here. And I'm going to take this violet color down underneath my sailboat in here. I'm going to start just going right here up against my sailboat, right underneath the bottom. And then you see how this curve, or this line goes out this way, and this curve goes out this way. We're going to almost flip that upside down. Right, so I want to fill up a shape that kind of looks like this, right? It's kind of a reflection of this at the top. And then this has that straight angle, so we're going to do that line there. And you got a little shadow. You got a little shadow of your boat. A little shadow. Alright. Now let's pay some attention to our sailboat a little bit more. Here. Let's come in here with this brown. I got some brown pencil again. Just going over some of my lines. Making them a little bit darker. A little bit more pressure. So if these are our little windows, right, we're going to have some of that light blue in these windows. I think some of that water color would be reflecting. You can put light blue, you can put dark blue, you could even put a little purple in there. I think some of that water would be reflecting up into our little windows. Some of these lines. So now that I have these darker lines, I can actually, with the lighter touch, I can go in and start shading some of this. want to shade it too heavy. I still want those lines to show through. And real light again up here in my captain's cabin. You could do all kinds of fun stuff with this. Maybe add people. Some sailors in there, some pirates, I don't know. I'm going to do something a little bit different here too with this. Now that I've got this brown on here, I'm going to go back for that purple. Where did I put your purple? For this violet color, and actually bring some of this violet into my sailboat as like shadows. So I'm not shading the whole thing or anything. I'm just going in with little purple pencil marks, real light, very light touch. Everybody's got a different style. I like to take my time and build things up. Sometimes you end up with like a big cake at the end, but it's cool. It's art. There's no wrong way to do it, right? I'll go over some of these lines I want to be a little darker. And then maybe even some purple in this cabin, just towards the bottom here. Just kind of shading some of that stuff in there. Pretty good on there for now. All right, so before I get too far too, we got to think about the sail. So I'm going to be making a little sun on mine. Mine's a little sunshine sailboat. You can do whatever you want. You can make it a navy ship, a pirate ship, whatever kind of ship you like, a merchant ship. So I'm going to make mine with a little sunshine thing. I'm going to just make a circle right here on my sail. And then I'm going to surround it with little triangles pointing outwards. So this triangle will point down. This triangle will point up. This one out that way. This one out that way. And then put a couple in between here. All pointing outwards, just like a nice little sun. We got our little sun shape. Maddie, thanks. Glad you're here. Thanks for the support, guys. Alright, so that's my sun, and since I don't want an orange sun, I want to have a yellow sun, I'm going to fill it in with yellow. The reason I did orange was because, you know, if you put a yellow sun just on a white sail, it might be kind of tough to see on this paper. I want to make sure everything's real clear today, but you know, you can do whatever you want. It's your sail. It's your boat. So a little sunshine up here on the... Too. A little sun up here. I'll fill that in. Just why not? Alright, so let's look at our little greenery down here, our little landscape in the background. I'm going to take a dark green color. Dark green. And I see my shadow here down underneath the boat, so I'm going to kind of do a similar thing with this land here. I'm going to do a darker green down at the bottom, just kind of filling it at the bottom, leaving a little space at the, you know, above it, underneath that green line, as you can see. Plenty of space above it. Now with the light green, I'm going to fill in above here. All right, maybe even leave a little bit of white at the top too. Just leave a little bit of white. Just sparkles of it there, just so it hints out. And you'll see why in a little bit. We're gonna put some color in the sky, and we don't, you know, having that little crisp edge of white might not necessarily be a bad thing. Alright, so I want to look at my clouds now too. look at my clouds here. So I used black pencil to make the shadows on the clouds. It was the black coloring pencil. But you can use a regular pencil, or you could even use a different color like purple or a blue, but just make sure the blue is different enough from your sky color that it's still visible. So I'll just use the black just to stick with the plan here, and I'm not pressing down too hard. If I press down too hard, it'll get really, really dark, really, really dark. So I'm just gonna really lightly, now I'm just coloring it in circles, and it's really one of the better ways to color with coloring pencils. Is it does take a lot of time. It does take a lot more time if you do little circles, but it just looks so much better because you don't end up with a lot of that back and forth texture. But sometimes the texture can be cool too. It's really all what you're going for. It's all about your plan. Oh, that cloud's a little dark up there. It might be stormy. That's all right. This is a pretty sturdy ship here. As you can see, we take very good care of the captain. What were we talking about earlier? We're talking about some purple in there. A little purple in my little cloud up there. Just for fun. Alright, getting to the sky. Sky, I have here is, I did it in light blue. I did it in a light blue. That's the same light blue that we started. We did the outline of the clouds. We did this stuff down here. Probably end up getting a little darker down here in the water later on, but so now this light blue, again, if you want to really try to get out the texture of a colored pencil, you can do little circles. But if you're just having fun, if you're just in a hurry, you're just whatever, you can make those long pencil marks. I like to have little spirals. Go right up against my objects, right up against the cloud, right up against the land, underneath the sail. Don't forget to go around that sail and not over it. Again, you can tell in the areas where I'm sort of taking my time and doing the little circle technique there. It looks a lot different than something like this, This is kind of the meditational part of making art. Oh, hi Mom, thanks for coming. Let me just straighten this out here. I started losing my keys a little while back. Alright, that's maybe a little bit better. You guys let me know if you're having trouble seeing any of that. Right up to that cloud, get right into those little areas that we made earlier. The way this works is sometimes when you have like I don't know, they give us this white coloring pencil. I'm assuming this is for working on like tinted paper of some sort, but I never use it. Because I'm always working on white paper. So this sail, we don't have to really do much to the sail. It's going to be a white sail with a little pattern on it. You can do whatever you want to it, but if you want to just keep something white, or really if you want to punch out a bright area, sometimes the best way to do it is to put something dark right next to it. It's kind of a cool trick. Okay. Getting right into those little areas, fill them all in. I feel like I should have somebody playing the flute or something in the background. I'm kind of speeding things up a little bit because, you know, I don't want to keep you guys forever coloring in the background. You know, this does take a little bit of time, but I want you to notice the difference too in the texture. Right, so you take your time and you kind of do those little circles. You get this nice smooth stuff, but in here I kind of sped things up, and you see it's real hatchy, and that's okay too. But as we're going on, we're experimenting. There's no real pressure here. You're not being graded. I might be being graded currently, but that's okay. I'm pretty confident in my sailboat drawing skills these days. And you should be too after this. Filling in my sky. It's a pretty plain sky. It's pretty solid, just one color kind of sky. But if you wanted to, you could always take some purple in. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where we're at here, and once we're done with the basics. And if we have plenty more time, then maybe we'll get a little bit in depth. We'll get a little bit deeper here. Just keep it interesting. Make it a little bit of a challenge. Again, just trying to get into these little areas that we created before for the tops of our clouds, so that white cloud can really pop out a little bit more. Right? See how when I darken up in there, kind of makes the cloud punch out just a little bit more. Just contrast. It's just using contrast. Right. Yeah, that's sort of an example. Like once you work over it a little bit more, it starts to a little bit more solid. Alright, so I guess we still have plenty of time, so we're going to go in and work a little bit more on our boat. We're going to go in and just do a little bit harder pressure in some of these areas, right? Like around the window. Maybe color this in. Again, I'm using that tiny little circle technique, just couple swirls. Maybe not even a circle. I guess it would be more of a swirly technique. That's going to be the official term today. Going over some of these lines, these board lines, right? These are just the wood that makes up our little sailboat. Go over some of these other lines too. Let's see. We want to punch this thing out. We want to make sure this boat stands out from that background. So I'm just giving a little bit more pressure now to the objects that I want to stand out. I'm going to go over the tops of these portals right here. The tops of these circles. The reason I'm doing that is because if the light was shining down, right, from the sky, we'd probably have a little shadow under there. It's a kind of a silly little detail, but you know, it's those silly little details that make all the difference sometimes. Let's see, what do we got here? We got some, let me get my purple again. Violet. A little bit more on our water. Some dark blue. Yeah, Maddie, well, next one we'll do we'll do a bilingual one. Just dark blue. I'm just waving some dark blue back and forth in here. I'm keeping my pencil a little bit, putting a little bit more pressure on my pencil. Again, I want this foreground to be more saturated. I want it to stand out, be a little bit bolder. And just like we use the darks to push out the lights, we'll use that boldness, that saturation, to push back those desaturated colors. I know this is pretty technical for like a kid's sailboat drawing, but these things make a difference. You know, when we have to crank out work really fast, you know, at work or whatever, I find that using tricks like atmospheric perspective and things like that, they really come in handy. You know, maybe next time we'll do a landscape or something like that with paints, so I can get a little bit more detailed in how that works. But you know, we're just building it up. Just building it up, getting heavier and heavier. Still want to make sure we leave some of those white areas in there, because that, you know, that white has to show through to give that dark some value. Espectacular. What do we got here? All right, purple. We got a little bit more purple. Fun stuff. All right. What else we got here? Oh, that's pretty close. I had no idea that was going to go so quickly. You guys are fast. Anyway. I want to thank everybody who is coming today and who has been checking out our Facebook Live videos and checking out our YouTube videos and using the coloring pages. It's always a real honor to be able to do that for you guys. And all these videos, these Facebook Live videos, again, will be available on our Facebook page. So if you want, you can check them out later. you want to check out some of the YouTube videos, we have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that. Or you can just go to artwithaheart.info to the Let's Make Art section, and there's all kinds of really cool stuff in there to keep everybody entertained. And we made it mostly, you know, primarily for the patients and families that we work for, that we serve, because, you know, we want to be there for them as much as we can. But also, it's for anybody out there who's, you know, interested in learning about being creative and exercising creativity to, you know, I don't know, as like a balanced approach to a happy mind. Art for me has always been an exercise in mindfulness and learning to see, learning to pay attention, learning to slow down. And sometimes it's just getting things out of your system or whatever. In this case, we're just making something colorful and fun, trying to spread a little joy. I'm getting down in here, right at the top of those trees. Now see, if we had gone all the way up and we hadn't left any of that white area, it'd be harder to see the trees. It all kind of blend into one tone, right? But since we left a little bit of that white, you can still see some of the tops of those. Hopefully. That's the plan. What else? Maybe a little red on our flag. Why not? We can even add a little bit of shadow to this sail since we have some extra time. I'm actually going to use, where's this darker blue here? This darker blue color. It's just regular blue or whatever you want to call it. Now since this is going to be kind of curved, maybe the wind's hitting it, I'm going to just start a little bit down here, real light. Remember, tiny circles, tiny swirls, tiny swirlies. And I don't have to color in the whole sail. I just want to hint at a little bit of that sort of bendy shape, how it's bowed out from the wind, right? So just a little bit of this purple under here. I'm sorry, this is dark blue. A little bit of the dark blue under here. You can get as crazy as you want with this thing. You can draw lines and sailors and maybe a little wheel, or a little captain up here. Real detailed, obviously. Little people standing on our boat. Maybe bold this line up a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, like a little shape at our bow here. One of those figureheads. Anyway, you can get as Josh wants a Bob Ross imitation. Happy little sailboat. This is our happy little sailboat. Anyway, this has been super fun making some art with you guys in this wonderful climate controlled environment with my dog sitting next to me. I think we are doing these Facebook Live things twice a week now. Is that true, Maddie? I think we're doing it twice a week now. So stay tuned. We're going to have more fun stuff for you guys to do, more fun projects. We might start doing things with different materials like acrylic paints, maybe, if that's okay. You know, if you have requests, I definitely encourage you to send them in. You know, either message the Art with a Heart Facebook, Art with a Heart in Healthcare Facebook, or, you know, go to our website. Our email information is all there. Our contact information is there. You know, if you got topics that you're really interested in learning about, or you got a special kid that, you know, has a request for, you know, a certain topic for us to cover, send that stuff in. We are super happy to have that feedback and to be able to provide, you know, more useful content. Still keeping it light and fun. I'm going to keep on working on this, but you can keep on working on yours. Just remember, just keep going back and forth. You know, push the darks, keep the lights, work back and forth between those two until you get, you know, some kind of space. You're making some space here. Looks like a place you could walk into and maybe go fishing off this thing. And with that, oh, Maddie's going to be on Monday. All right, yeah. So our next event, our next Facebook Live event is going to be this coming Monday with the great Madeline Firestone, aka Maddie. So stay tuned, friends. All these videos will be available on the Facebook page. And again, please reach out if you got topics or anything that you want us to cover. We would love to bring that stuff to you. And on that note, you all have a spectacular day and stay creative. Thanks. Bye.